When Shlomo Melech is 12 years old, ascending to the throne, occupied previously by his father David HaMelech, he turns to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in a dream after HaKadosh Baruch Hu implores him, ask me for whatever you want, whatever you wish. And Shlomo HaMelech turns to Hashem Yisbarach and he says to him, indeed, I am Bat Va'anochi Na'ar Katon. I'm 12 years old. I'm so young. I've been entrusted with this vast nation to rule over them, to guide them, to paskin for them. What should I ask for? Give me a heart that can be used judiciously to adjudicate in their matters, and to ultimately be able to discern between that which is good and that which is bad, to know how to properly govern the people of Israel. HaKadosh Baruch Hu was so impressed with this specific question, for he had turned to Shlomo HaMelech and he had said to him, She'al ma et halach, ask for anything in the world and I'll grant it to you. And because he asked for this power of a discerning heart, HaKadosh Baruch Hu effectively gives him anything and everything that a king could possibly wish for. Why did Shlomo HaMelech ask for this? Why did he single out the heart? Where did he gain this insight from? Perhaps it is from this week's Parshas Tetzaveh. In Tetzaveh following Truma, after we have the fashioning of the Mishkan, its construct with all of its accoutrements, all the materials that were to go into its building, the gold and the silver, the copper, all of the tapestries, all of the materials, the scarlet, the turquoise, the gold, anything and everything. We ultimately have one very specific kli, vessel as it were, that has no description, that is not made by anyone, given the psukim, explains the Ramban, and that suddenly appear. When the Kohen Gadol is to wear his breastplate, the Choshen Mishpat, upon his lathe, V'nasa Aaron and Shmos ben Yisrael v'Choshen Mishpat al libo b'vo al HaKodesh, when he enters the Kodesh, he is told, V'nasata, Moshe Rabbeinu is instructed, you are to place El Choshen HaMishpat into this breastplate, bearing the 12 stones of the 12 tribes of Israel, with their names upon it. Es ha'urim ve'es ha'tumim, the Urim and the Tumim. The Urim and the Tumim, according to Chazal, as explains the Ramban, in one form or another, housed the Shem Hashem, or the Shemos of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, references to God. Who fashioned them? Says the Ramban, it was a sod. It was a secret that was given over to Moshe Rabbeinu. Sod Moshe Moshe Pi Avura from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Who custom the Kedusha, and he wrote it down in the greatest of holiness. Or HaKadosh Baruch Hu presented the Urim V'Tumim, already fashioned, as it were, already inscribed to Moshe, and placed between the folds of the Choshen Mishpat, worn by the Kohen Gadol on his heart, while he would be able to adjudicate on behalf of Klal Yisrael and discern between potential elected decisions, right or wrong, good or bad, whether they be military questions, whether they be questions posed by the Sanhedrin. The Kohen Gadol could turn to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the answer would be somewhat cryptically lit up from amongst the letters forming the names of the Shiftei Ka, and he would be able to unjumble them and say to the Melech B'Yisrael, and say to the king, or say to the Sanhedrin, what indeed the decision was ultimately to be that would be in the best interest of Klal Yisrael. Who fashioned them? We don't know. What exactly did they look like? We're unsure. What exact name of Hashem Yisbarach was inscribed upon them? We are uncertain. But we do know that they were encased between the folds of the Choshen Mishpat, worn on the lathe of Aharon, the Kohen Gadol. And in doing so, he would be granted the ability to make the right decisions, to know inherently, as it were, how he should act on behalf of Klal Yisrael in his decision rendered, given to them, and what a HaKadosh Baruch Hu would ultimately desire. When Shlomo HaMelech turned to HaKadosh Baruch Hu after God asked, Ask me for whatever you want. Shomalach responds, give me your heart. Because at the end of the day, with all of the gold and all of the silver and all of the copper and all of the wool and all of the linen and all of the magnificent tapestries and kalim that were invested into the Mishkan and ultimately in the Beis HaMikdash, there was only one thing, somewhat elusive to the grasp of man, somewhat beyond his ken of being able to fashion it. And it was to be found adjacent to his heart of the Kohen Gadol. Therein, in the heart of the Kohen Gadol, as it were, and ultimately in the heart of man, is the ability that HaKadosh Baruch Hu grants us to bring Hashem Yisbarach into our hearts and then into our minds, to be able to act in the way that He would fashion. Where does God really ultimately live? Not even so much in the Mishkan as the Beis HaMikdash, but as it were, in the heart of the Kohen Gadol, in the hearts of all of us, to be able to bring Him closer and to be able to be the servants that He would choose. Have a wonderful Shabbos.